Cocaine in my nose, they got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup, though. Cocaine in my nose, they got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup, though.
PSGL, George Morgan here and Jack Canat. All the lights are currently lit here on track, and it is go, go, go!
Down through the Mercedes teammate.
Denoso with a crafty manoeuvre up the inside. Masterclass from the Chilean.
Crucial championship points on offer here.
Do not count out Danny Berezne.
Longe has done the job. This is for the win between these two.
Freddie Rasmussen wins the United States Grand Prix.
Alfie Butcher wins for the first time ever. Lucas Blakely takes the championship. It's Barry Borman.
Jarno Opmeer is your champion.
good to be back. It's good to be back once more. And welcome back to PSGL. It's PCF2. It's going to be a great night of racing tonight. We are here for the 7th round, about the halfway point of the calendar, as we head tonight to Saudi Arabia. Now, we're not going to waste much time, folks, because we are literally moments away. And in fact, we are already jumping into the qualifying section. So, brief introductions. My name is Ben Sapsford, aka Sapitron. It's good to be back in the commentary box after a few weeks break, a little bit of a summer hiatus, but we're back in the hot seat. And I'm joined, of course, by Omi, who has been holding the fort, along with some very impressive guests, if I do say so myself. Good to see you again, Omi.
Yep, great to be back with you, Ben. Some amazing action coming our way. The last time we commentated, we had that incredible final lap at Austria, and Jeddah is a circuit which does have similar types of last lap battles, so should be very exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And we are not going to be wasting any time out here at all, folks, because we are already jumping trackside. And the first driver that we are going to be jumping on is going to be none other than Jan Halliday. Of course, we are in the F1 World Cars once more, and we are going to be seeing ourselves head around this beautiful night circuit. It's more of a roller coaster than a circuit, I'd say, because it has all the characteristics of a street circuit, but at the same time, you can hit the speeds of a purpose-built facility.
Yep, absolutely. It is definitely such a fast circuit, such a challenge for all of these drivers out there on the circuit. And the racing is absolutely brilliant. Of course, you have the 3 DRS zones that do end the lap as well, so plenty of action. They're all back-to-back, and it means that we can get lots of switching and changing between all of these drivers, so there will be a lot of pass or B-pass stuff in the 25-lap race that we're going to have coming our way. First of all, though, as you mentioned, we have 18 minutes to set the grid for that race as well, and all the drivers already heading out on to the circuit for their first banker lap.
Looks like the driver taking the lead on the initial runs is going to be Kian Godendorp, so adorned in that bright blue and white. You may notice we are back in the F1 World Cars. There have been further reports of some inconsistency, so we'd rather take zero risks when it comes to putting on a fair and balanced competition. And in that same light, we will of course be retaining that restart in between quali and the race, as collisions are currently turned off to prevent slipstream. Regardless though, Kian Godendorp is going to be out for the first run, looking good through the first sector. Key thing here, retain your speed, keep throttled up, keep up the grip as you go through apex to apex. Careful of those walls, because you do not want to snap your car or have to correct in the middle of a corner.
Absolutely, a very challenging circuit where the drivers always do need to get it right. One little misjudgment, one little mistake could lead to the driver going into the barrier and also then out of this qualifying session and starting at the back, as if they do make a mistake at this part of the session, they will find the barrier and it will mean that they cannot participate for the rest of the 15 minutes that remain. But getting a good banker lap is also going to be critical. You can invalidate around this circuit if you do go over the curb at some parts of the circuit where you are able to cut a little bit and gain a bit of time, so the drivers have to be careful of that as well, and then also trying to get a clean lap. 27 turns around this circuit, the most of any other track on the calendar, and it means that the drivers are always having to practice quite a bit around this circuit, trying to nail every single one of those corners, as Kian Godendorp comes across the line and is already beaten by Liam Stevens, who sets a 1 minute 26.7, and then Jan Halliday, our winner from last time out, the man who took his first victory since F3 in season 32, a winner from Japan going to second, and Tycho Hardy, one of the drivers in the championship battle, now into P1.
But the times immediately dropping down as drivers are going to get those banker laps in. Track evolution is important, but getting that safety net is even more so. Felipe Salsa, 27.3, is going to be bottom of the grid for now, as Camille Staturer is going to be setting a blistering time, originally Ferrari, but 0.591 is not a time to scoff at by any means. You've got a few more cars now coming through. Louis Welch did not get a valid time. Few more as Tope is going to be retiring from the session. It looks like they've been having a bit of connection issue as they joined towards the latter half of the outlaps, and they're going to be bowing out once more. So not a good time for them. And you've got more drivers who are waiting in the wings. Gregory Zibel, they are going to be one of the last cars who's on their current lap to finish. But 14 cars, currently 8 tenths of spread between them.
All very close margins so far, but disappointment for Tope, as you mentioned. Tope scoring their first podium last time out at Suzuka. Another driver who did that is Gregory, and they're about to come across the line, P19, and they're going to go to P13 with their first lap. The margins continue to be close, and this is going to look, and this looks like so far it's going to be very, very competitive all the way through every single round of PSGL is. We've got the top 5 separated by a tenth of a second as well, so this is going to be a really, really interesting fight, first of all in qualifying, then the race as well, and this is going to be definitely one where the margins will be close. Of course, you have that 1 point to be won for pole position, so all of the drivers will be going for that, and it's been critical so far this season as well.
Something I've always loved, I've got to say, is the amount of fine margins the drivers continue to press each other upon. I mean, look at this timing board. 7 milliseconds between Hardy and Halliday. 8 milliseconds between Marples and Stevens. 5 between Stevens and Godadorp. These are the kinds of margins that make PCF2 PCF2. It's the drivers giving 110%, squeezing out every iota of time that is available on this course and not being afraid to take those risks. Combined with the level of consistency you see with these drivers, it's no wonder that this is the kind of tier they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. These drivers always so quick and always on the limit as well. It's great to see them perform out there on the circuit, and the margins always so close, and you just never know. You just never can predict who's going to be getting the 1 point for pole. We've had Kian Godendorp, Harvey Cohen, Andre Molnar, Kamil Stoucher, and Joris. Joris is the only one to take 2 pole positions. Everyone else has taken 1 each. So this has been absolutely phenomenal, and I'm sure we're going to be in possibly for another shock in this qualifying session. But Kamil Stoucher, who earlier on in the season, of course, when he did get that pole position, it was a very late lap. Right now, though, he's currently P1 and hoping to stay there for the remainder of this session.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he can do in terms of retaining that pole, retaining that dominance, because he has shown he has got the pace on tap and he can make it work when it counts. But simultaneously, there have been moments where he has fallen away, where he hasn't been able to maintain that pressure over a race distance, and that's going to be a big decider, especially at Jeddah, where the margins are so fine, where it can be inches between you and a sudden impact with a wall. We're on board with Daniel Hjeltsen now as he's coming into the second sector. So far, things looking very strong for the matte red F1 wildcard we're currently on board with right here. Easily hitting speeds nearing the 200 mile an hour range. A little bit of wobble as we head through to the end of the second sector, but keeping things clean, keeping things fast. It's all about maintaining your momentum, having consistent lines through corners, because one thing that can catch you off guard, particularly in that first sector, is overextending, snapping, or as we just seen there with Hjeltsen, messing up your line, and that has a massive knock-on effect with subsequent corners. He's unfortunately invalidated, which is not going to be anything good for his pace. Soriano having much of a similar story with a 27.0, but not one that is valid. He'll have to go out again if he wants to make that, at the time, P14 worthy time count, as more drivers like Jan Halliday are back out on course looking to improve from that 5th position.
They're all going to be chasing for that improvement, all about building on from your banker lap as well, especially as we mentioned with 27 turns, the most of any track on the calendar. It means that there is lots of room for improvement lap on lap, and also the track getting better all the while as well. And Kamil Stoucher might be currently P1. It's close margins behind though, but if he doesn't find an improvement, then he'll be losing quite a few places. So every single lap you do around this circuit, you need to be finding a step forward.
You need to be making those subtle movements forward. Every time you need to find some improvement. Push the limit a little bit harder, and if it means you invalidate, you do have a chance to go around again. It's quite a quick track. You can get at least 4 or 5 good runs out with some good quality pacing and timings on your in and out laps. The limiting factor is not necessarily going to be the drivers, it's going to be the tyres, because you only have so many sets of soft tyres available in quali. We've just seen Jan Halliday take a little bit of a snap towards the end of the second sector, and that has unfortunately invalidated him with what looks like was a very impressive lap, all things considered. We've got his main rival at the start, and continuing that pressure on is Kian Godendorp coming up to the line, although he is going to be abandoning into the pits.
Yep, absolutely. Long circuits, you don't want to be going around again if the lap time is not good or you think that you can do better as well. So a trip straight back into the pit lane for him as well. Leo Lund coming across the line. It's an improvement by just over a tenth of a second to P13 for him, the driver who stood on the podium once so far this season, as Liam Stevens, 7 thousandths ahead of Camel Stoutra. Good lap time from him. Camel Stoutra did invalidate on the lap as well. He's back into the pit lane. So it wasn't an improvement from him there, but it is an improvement for Nelson Alves, who goes to the front of the field with Lukumski going into P4.
Very impressive runs from the front of the field. Ben Marples are on board with right now. We're going to see if he can get an improvement. He's had a little bit of floatiness to his car. That might be a quirk of his setup or something where he has got a bit more comfort in that driving style. Of course, these cars lending themselves a little bit more to having some slip angle, be able to push themselves around the corners. We do see an improvement from Marples. He's back up to P5 and he pips Lukomsky by 4 milliseconds, 4 thousandths of a second. You can't even blink that fast, folks.
Absolutely. Incredible scenes there. Ben Marples hoping for a better round than last time out. Got damage on the opening lap at Suzuka. It can get very close on an opening lap at Suzuka with some tight corners. So it was unfortunate for him to get damaged, but he's looking to bounce back and have a better round this time around here at Jeddah as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he is going to get on, but doing very, very well. A 10th away, but there could be a lot of drivers. There already is. Camel Stoutra, Liam Stevens, Julian Klappenbach in between that gap, and surely more will come as well who are on a outlap. Tyker Hardy currently running in P8 as he goes pushing down to turn number 22.
Mackey now coming up to the end of the line. It is going to improve, and it's going to be just enough to retain a P11. It's about 3/4 of a tenth there gained from the Veloce Academy driver. Not quite enough to make some substantial headway, but still enough to establish themselves as a solid midfield contender at this point in time. Lots of cars now approaching the final line, but is it going to be for full-on laps, or are they heading back into the pits to try and trip up the cadence of the rest of the field? Bradley Holdham coming up to the final corner. Again, a little bit of slip angle coming from these cars, almost throwing themselves in and then letting the power carry them out. But Holdham comes up to the line, up into P10 with a 2/10 gain on his previous, up to a .703. Work to do, but he has got about 5 minutes to get back on track. 4 minutes once he's back out there, so he's realistically only got one more run on this course, and he's got to make it count.
Brad Holdham, the driver who has only stood on the podium once so far this season, did stand on it twice, however, but one was taken away. The victory at Austria, that incredible final lap as well, and that was taken away from him for an earlier incident in the race, so he ended up finishing 10th, so that was definitely disappointing for him, but he's looking to bounce back, looking to return to the top step, and hopefully for keeps next time he does return back to the top step of the podium, but currently in 10th position. But time is ticking, and he will probably want to start higher than 10th position in this race as well, as Jan Halliday pushes on, our most recent race winner so far this season. 5,000 he is up by the time that he leaves turn number 22, and now is heading down to the final corner, turn number 27.
Well, Halliday, of course, not making the same mistake twice. He's not going to let himself invalidate coming to the end of the second sector. Now coming around the final corner, power out as quick as you can. Pump everything into that final dash to the finish line. You can see even coming across to the pit line to minimise the amount of distance they have to travel. And it's a solid P3, but Godendorp has only come in and usurped him completely. A .443, that's almost an entire tenth clear of Nelson Alves. Is going to be a very solid pole position statement. Are we going to see any return fire from the rest of the field? It's certainly going to come down to the wire, folks. We've only got 4 minutes left, and a lot of drivers right now are only going to just be coming out of the pits in the next few seconds, or making their way back. So time is on a crunch.
Absolutely, time is ticking in this session, meaning that all of the drivers now heading back into the pit lane, going to get a fresh set of boots ready for when the track is going to be at its best. Harvey Cohen has come across the line, and he goes into 5th position as well, and it will be interesting to see how he gets on. He is one of our pole sitters from earlier on this season, so let's see whether he'll be able to return back there with 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go on the clock. He'll need to quickly get in then get back out as well. Suriano also out on the circuit. He's currently in P13, so he'll be looking to try and progress into the top 10, and it's always going to come down to those final few laps. Invalidating could be costly if you don't find an improvement on the lap that is coming, on the final run that is coming our way. It means that you could find yourselves going massively down with how close the margins are.
Well, we're coming up to the final few minutes here of quali, and so far it's looking good for Godendorp. He's got a substantial margin on Alves and Klaffenbach as a PCF1 debutee, if I remember correctly. Very impressive stuff there, getting that call up to the top end. And looking at this field, you're now only just starting to see the drivers come out for their final runs. You see they're waiting for that track evolution to reach its peak, the most amount of rubber to be laid down before they jump back out again. So Stasherer leads the final charge as we head around the field. Lukomsky not too far behind, and then we're going to see a few more cars come out of the pits. We might not see everyone though, because of the amount of runs. I would not be surprised if a few cars have already expended their full soft tyre allowance, and we don't have the carryover because we have the lobby reset.
Absolutely as well. So we are going to, of course, go back into the lobby. We'll have a little break, and we'll talk more about the previous rounds while we we get the grid set up and turn back collisions on, so we can get get ourselves ready for what should be a fantastic race as well, where contact, we could be seeing a little bit of that. Now, Kian Godendorp retiring from the session, so he is going to be retiring and watching with the rest of us. So is Harvey Cohen. He's going to be in 5th. They're going to be watching with the rest of us to see whether anyone can beat their lap times. Nelson have 72 thousandths away. It was a great effort from Kian Godendorp, but let's see what the rest of the field is going to be able to do. Kamil Stoutra, the driver on run 1, who was fastest, is going to try and be fastest by the end of this run as well, as he now begins his final lap in qualifying, heading down towards turn 1.
Yeah, I say, Godendorp retiring in confidence certainly makes a statement to the field, though hopefully he hasn't been overzealous and he hasn't underestimated his opponents on the field. Staturer now going to be heading into the arguably most technical section of the course. A tight left-hander, before you peel out to the right, you're already, though, setting up for the next set of corners. A consistent line through here, minimal adjustments. It leaves your car nice and stable. We'll see a little bit of wobbliness with Staturer. Oh, that is an invalidation. That's exactly what you don't want to happen around that segment of the course. You can see those micro adjustments can be very costly in unsettling the balance of your car. So not the best time for him there. Lukomsky is going to be faring much better. Looks like they are going to be keeping that push alive as we head into the second sector. Easily going to be surpassing in just a moment the 190, if not 200 mile an hour mark as we head to the end. Next DRS zone, pushing and giving it their all. You almost ride parallel and very close to some of these walls. You can see the amount of proximity they're having to carry, but it's a purple second sector. This is looking very good for Lukomsky as we head into sector 3. Power out as much as they can, remain tight to the wall, minimize that amount of distance you have to travel before you peel right out to the side. There is the checkered flag. Session is officially over. Final runs, a little bit of wobbliness coming through the final corner though, and unfortunately is going to scrub some time. Is it going to be enough to retain that P9? Push even further. Let's see. 8 milliseconds, enough for a position on Marples, but is it going to stay?
Is it going to stay? Indeed, Ben Marples is going to have the right to reply as well. He's currently in P9 as they're all about to come over the line. Who is going to be finding an improvement? Daniel currently in 12th. We have Stevens in P6. Good improvement there for Tiger Hardy. What can Ben Marples do? He improves to P4. A great improvement to jump him up a couple of positions as well. And let's see what Nelson Alves is going to be able to do. No, he is invalidated. That's going to be disappointment for him. So is Julian Klaffenbach. So in the end, Jan Halliday is up by 0.2 of a second. He's navigated so much of the lap. One corner remains, but it can go all wrong in that run corner. Turn number 27. He's going to be making his way through, getting on the power, and now it's going to be a traction zone. He's going to get on the power now and make his way up towards the line. Foot to the floor all the way through. What can Jan Halliday do? He's done it! He's done it by 81 thousandths of a second. Jan Halliday is on pole for the moment unless anyone else can find a late lap, and Mirko Suriano is up by 44 thousandths of a second, but surely it won't be good enough to challenge Jan Halliday.
I don't think he's going to be able to make up that time in a single corner. All due respect to Suriano, he is going to improve, but it's only up to 15th, but leaves Halliday the one to beat here in tonight's session. It's going to be brilliant driving out there for Halliday, and it's going to be a solid pole by almost an entire 1/10 of a second. Looking at the rest of the field, though, you have Albers coming in with third place after Godendorp put in an absolutely solid .443. Retired a little bit too early in hindsight, but still, on the front row, nothing to scoff at. Clapperbot makes fourth with Marples in fifth, and then you have Holdham, Cohen, Stevens, Zibil, Hardy making up your top 10 with Crozen, Staturer, Mackay, Lakomsky, Suriano, Kjeldsen, Sousa, Lund, Welch, and then top 8 not setting a time in tonight's session. It's not going for some, as you want to get in a good spot before you head into the race. It's going to be one of those battles, I think. Getting into that good position at the start of the race is going to be a bit of a tough one. So you have to be careful, but it's going to be pretty exciting, I've got to say.
Going to be pretty exciting, going to be pretty wild here at Jeddah. Always a race around Jeddah is definitely very, very chaotic, and I think it's going to be exactly the same here as well. You're going to have drivers trying to make their way up through the field as well. You've got 3 DRS and you're going to have DRS trains, so drivers getting a little bit impatient possibly as well, trying to make the overtakes and make some dive bombs. Sometimes you're trying to catch your rivals out as well. Hopefully we won't have too much chaos as well, and hopefully we'll still get front wings attached to the cars, as some drivers have unfortunately been losing them recently in races, and it's really ruined their race. Safety cars also can completely change the game, so I'm sure it's going to be pretty wild and wide open on the streets of Jeddah. But a fantastic qualifying session, and I cannot wait to see how the race is going to play out.
Yeah, well, we are going to have that lobby restart, folks, so we will be taking an extra couple of minutes out. While we have you, before we head to a bit of a mid-season ad from our sponsors, of course, it is good to be back in the commentary box, and as we head to the halfway point of the season, we just wanted to say thank you to everyone who watches this, who joins in our leagues, who makes this all possible, as well as the people who support us, like our key sponsors. We wanted to give some extra special love to the fans, to the people watching, and to the community members, to all the drivers and all of the other staff who make PSGL what it is, who make it possible. And with that being said, folks, we are going to take a short mid-roll break. We'll be right back with you in just a minute or so now. So, folks, with that in mind, it's going to be taking now a look at the standings. Of course, support the people who support us as a GTM Mega and Sim Racing Centre. Whether you're looking for new rigs, new setups, coaching, or anything else of the sort, code PSGL for a healthy discount at checkout, but support the people who support us. Looking at the standings, though, we have Clapperbot currently sitting atop of the field with 49 points. Quite the solid showing, and it's no wonder they got pulled up to the top. As we look at the rest of the top 10, though, he's got Tycho Hardy, 35 points, and Jan Halliday, of course, pole sitter for tonight, 32 currently sat on, with Crozen in P4. Liam Stevens takes 29 points to the standings, making them 5th place, with Leo Lund, Riccardo Benzoni, Shimon Lakomsky, Bradley Holdham, and top 8 making their top 10. I've got to say, though, looking at some of these standings, it's paints a very different picture in terms of drivers relative to what we've seen in qualifying. I mean, big standout is top 8. Of course, didn't get a chance to set a time, so he's going to be starting from the very back of the field. But even you look at the likes of Leo Lund, they spent most of the time in that qualifying session around the P12 to P15 range.
Yeah, absolutely. For certain drivers, it is different track to track as well. And even if you don't have the most outright pace, it's all about staying out of the chaos and also being consistent round after round when it comes to the championship as well. But yeah, great to see, of course, Julian Klaffenbach in PCF1 yesterday. Fully deserved. It's been an incredible season from him. He's been able to get up to. He's been able to get 2 victories and has been consistent in all of the other rounds as well. Our only repeat winner of this season, and he will be hoping to make it 3 today. And even if we do have certain drivers at the front of the field, I think it could be completely. I think it's going to be completely wide open, and we could be seeing drivers from even outside the top 5 getting involved in the battle, especially if we do have a late safety car or any of that late drama, and everyone bolts on a set of soft compound of tires like we saw last time out in Japan. The race can completely change on its heads.
Yeah, things are going to be flipping on their heads in some ways. But for others, it's a chance to really show what they can do at the top and the sharp end of the field. I mean, I look at Halliday, currently 3rd in the standings. Of course, very much wowed us in that qualifying session. We also have Godendorp, who made 2nd in that quali, who's 14th in the standings. So they have a chance to get some big wins here as well. And of course, looking at taking a bit of a technical breakdown, looking at this course, it's 27 corners, it's 6.2 kilometers almost, and it's easily one of the highest speed. It's almost a straight shot, but it's broken up with a lot of chicanes, a lot of technical sections. Particularly that first sector is very punishing if you even get a single corner in that complex wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Very punishing, and especially it's going to be punishing in the race when the margins are still going to be as close. But if you do make a little error, you could find yourself losing a couple of positions as well. And it does mean that drivers cannot afford mistakes, because if you do lose, if you do make a little mistake in a DRS train, you will lose a couple of places. And it does mean that the drivers have to try recover their way all the way back to it. In a DRS train, it means that you have to try make some lunges that possibly cannot be that possibly aren't on as well. So it means that it's going to really punish the drivers if they are to make any of those errors, so they cannot afford it, as they're going to be losing quite a bit of progress if they do make any of those mistakes as well. But now it is time. The race is about to get underway, and the 25-lap contest around the circuit we have just shown you, it's going to take place, and it's going to be interesting to see who is going to come out on top.
Yeah. Well, the big thing here is you're going to have drivers who are racing to get that early position. A lot of them are going to be a bit wary of the close proximity of the walls, and as a result, we might see a little bit more conservative driving from some, as they don't want to be too risky with it. But it's just as much opportunity for the opportunistic driving style, a more aggressive approach to take plenty of chances and to get some easy positions in the early game. And that's the dichotomy that you really have in these kind of races. But enough jibber jabber. We are jumping trackside, and we are pending setups, about to get ourselves fully immersed in the race. And with PCF2, as we are about to jump in to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in full. Of course, leave us your predictions in the chat for who you think is going to be taking the crown this time, and who you think is going to be the big surprise out on the course. Myself, personally, I'm very impressed with Godendorp's qualifying performance, so despite being much lower down in the standings and not so familiar with the top of the field, that's the one we're going to be keeping an eye on. And with 5 red lights, the track is hot here in Jeddah for the race, and immediately great get away from the front of the field. There's going to be Jan Halliday trying his best, but Godendorp is going to immediately press that advantage. Better start than the black and gold car, and side by side right out of the gate, Godendorp with that early move and a lot of scuffling towards the back of the pack. We already have a car round. That's Lakomsky is already backwards and already incurred some severe damage after a collision, I think, with Louis Welch.
Not what Louis Welch wanted indeed. Kian Godendorp with the lead. We've got Brad Holdham, the lead driver on the hard compound of tyres. The top 5 though on those yellow wall mediums, as we look to see who's going to be making the moves. It is going to be Harvey Cohen trying to get past Brad Holdham, looking for it on the outside, looking for it on the inside, but still staring at the rear wing and not able to find a way through, as Leo Lund getting ahead of Daniel, who's trying to fight back as we go side by side, and it'll be Leo Lund who goes off the road but takes P13.
Yeah, a lot of scuffling towards the back end of the pack in particular, as a lot of drivers in the front are just focused on keeping their noses clean and starting to get a little bit of momentum in the early game of this race. Leland continuing to put pressure on Kjeldsen as they are fighting tooth and nail to retain that P13. And looking at the rest of the field, we can also see that we've got a battle for the 10th and 9th spots as many more go side by side around the field. Nelson Alves is going to make a move on Jan Halliday, of course, trying to get the early jump on him, but Halliday is having none of it. They're going to try and use the slipstream from Godendorp to get a little bit of a leg up, but they're completely boxed in. That black and gold F1 World Car has nowhere to go, and they cannot be affording to get any risky moves done unless Godendorp completely gets away.
Absolutely incredible stuff there. Julian Klaffenbach with all the speed, with all the momentum, but absolutely nowhere to go. Being boxed in there, as you mentioned as well. Still, the never-ending story continues in the battle for P13, and it's going to be Daniel who moves past. Leo Lund, Felipe Sousa trying to get involved as well, still chasing that first podium of the season. And the PCF World Champion has scored some points, but still yet to get on the podium. Looking further back, that's Mirko Siriano trying to go past Riley McKay, who was trying to take the outside line out of turn number 13, but it's Riley McKay who has got P16 for the moment. Ben Marple seems like he is also really going on the attack. So is Julian Klaffenbach, as we have an 8-10 gap between first and second in the race. Kian Godendorp maintaining the lead at the front of the field, and Brad Holdham on those hard compound tyres, just trying to stick with the medium runners right now.
Well, Godendorp's in that ideal position to get that breakaway, avoid the drama of the rest of the field as they squabble for positions, but I don't know if he's done enough, because DRS is already proving to be a major factor in keeping him reined in and keeping Halliday firmly locked on the crosshairs of first position. You see Marples himself trying to press his luck a little bit as there's a bit of battling further down this field. Liam Stevens getting himself in the middle of a little bit of an altercation, looking to the left, looking to the right, seeing where they could go. That's Hardy making not one, but an attempt on two positions here, side by side with Crozen. Is that going to be a double overtake for the black and green, for the Shark? Is it going to be enough for him? Not quite, but Crozen, but has got the move done on Stevens quite comfortably.
Absolutely as well, and we are seeing already some phenomenal action. Some drivers wanting to take it nice and easy, but as I mentioned, it can be pass or be pass stuff. So drivers having to change their approaches all the way throughout this race as well. And you may have a driver behind you who does want to try, make up some progress, who does want to make the move. So the races around Jeddah can get very, very exciting as well. And we can currently see Kian Godendorp with a 4/10 advantage. Brad Holden being put under pressure as we would expect, medium versus hard compound of tyres, and it's Harvey Curran currently giving chase as well. Further back, we mentioned of course the battle of P13 between Daniel and Leo Lund going on. They've got a 1.3 seconds ahead, so they've lost time and they are in their own little personal train right now, as well as Tope trying to make his way through after not setting a lap time in qualifying. Now DRS is enabled. Harvey Curran able to get past Brad Holdham. He's gone the long way round as we go down to turn number 27.
Got to be careful though, because Cohen's in the danger zone. He needs to keep that pace up or he's going to fall away from Marples and he's going to lose the DRS. Coming up to the third from the fourth lap very soon. And that's going to be a trade finally for first place after much waiting. Halliday has picked now as his time to strike, with Alves actually following through and using the vacuum that the black and gold car has created to take not only the front row spot, but to push Godendorp all the way down to third. So from first to third in the space of about 3 corners, that is no small feat and something that Godendorp is going to have to recover from fairly soon.
Yep, he is going to be needing to recover from that very, very shortly as well, but he will also get the chance, because when the whole field is so closely bunched up, it means that we are going to see multiple moves going on at once, and one driver getting mugged down a straight, losing a couple of places if they don't have DRS as well. So it always does get very tight, and I'm sure we're going to continue to see plenty of changes, as we have Klaffenbach also trying now to put the pressure on Kian Godendorp. Of course, they're all in this train, but with the gap sometimes a bit more closer between certain drivers in that train, we can tell that they are on different approaches, and you can see Klaffenbach really right now looking racy, using a little bit of ERS to try get close, and now they're all getting closer towards Jan Halliday. It's close as we go down to turn number 27, but still Halliday holding that race lead for now.
This is where you start to see some of the macro strategies come into play, though. You can see that is going to be Alves going for the move on Halliday, but Halliday's not doing all that much to fight and contest it. They're keeping their speed up, but they're not necessarily fighting. Oh, big snap from Halliday, though, nearly going off track. That's going to be contact between himself and Godendorp. He has nowhere to go. But Halliday didn't fight that all too hard because they know they can just take the position back. With that mistake, though, I'm suddenly not so sure. Halliday may be feeling a little bit of the pressure of being all the way up at that front spot and allowing the other drivers to let him crack.
Yeah, absolutely. Indeed, and it did allow Nelson Alves to get a 9/10 advantage at one point as well. So they need to be careful that they aren't battling too much, because if they battle, then they will lose together. Especially this will be a bigger problem when it comes to the final stages of the race. You do not want to let someone run away, and if someone is able to run away outside the 1 second, then that is critical around this circuit. But everyone's still been able to maintain it, even though Nelson Alves did get close to the 1 second mark as well. So he's got a 6/10 advantage right now over Kian Godendorp, as we once again make our way onto one of the back straights around this circuit. And once again, they're all in a DRS train. Ben Marple seems like he wants to try put some pressure on Julian Klaffenbach, who is going defensive, and Klaffenbach instead is going to throw a nose in there up the inside of Jan Halliday. Klaffenbach is going to lose out, not with the best traction off the corner. He'll get a chance to fight back. He's using a bit of ERS as we go towards turn number 1, and he's now going to stop using it. He wants to, of course, save the battery. You do not want to use it all in the early stages of this race. Still a long way to go, and unless there's a safety car, then it is going to be hard to recharge it if you do lose quite a bit. And we're battling further back as well. It's not only the battle for the lead, as Tope moves up to P15.
Yeah, again, bit of jostling at the back end of the field, as that is going to be a little bit of tyre hooking, it looks like, between Tope and Jeltsin, himself dropping down to P17, as Salsa is now going to make a stab at P16 and taking it quite comfortably through the first sector. Now, I look at Klaffenbach, I look up at the front of the field, and I think he needs to play a little bit more conservatively for a bit. I almost see him like a jostled up soft drink. He's full of energy, full of power, and he's raring to go, but he's got nowhere to take it. And he got a bit impatient there, sticking the nose in through that final corner, just nowhere to really go. And he did lose a significant amount of time. So peel back, recover, regather yourself, calm down from the initial rush that is the start of the race, and then you can be a little bit more considered and restrained with the moves that you do end up going for. Like we see here, it's on the back of Marples. He can use this as a recovery opportunity, but also if he sees that gap that he can take further ahead, he's gonna go for it, no doubt.
Absolutely. As Cohen loses a place, he goes down to 7th position. Once again, we go onto the straight. This time it looks like Julian Klaffenbach does want 4th position, holding back at turn number 27. By the time they will get to turn number 1, he will be through and up to 4th position in the race. The top 7, as I mentioned, of course, on those medium compound of tires. And we have a lot of hard runners till we get to Louis Welsh, who's currently in P19, not the race start that he wanted. Same with Lukumski. There was something, of course, on the opening lap between those two drivers, so it's affected their races as we make our way to the first sector on lap number 7. Felipe Salza is right now in that train for P13, and he's a driver who does like this circuit, but he's not had the most time to practice, unfortunately, and he'll be hoping to get some more practice in the future to be able to contend with all of these fast drivers. And all of these drivers do put in quite a lot of practice. If you don't put in enough, it can mean that you are slightly on the back foot as we make our way once again down the straight towards turn number 22. And it's all about when the drivers are deciding to pounce. Currently Nelson Alves holding that lead, but at some point, if Jan Halliday is getting interested for second, Kian Godendorp will be pressured and forced into making that move for the lead.
You see, Halliday is going to be going for a bit of a move on the outside of Godendorp, heading through that final corner there. Not quite going to have the pace as Godendorp remains committed to the inside, forced them out by having control of the apex. So it looks like the medium runners are already going to be jumping into that pit lane and are going to be jumping on likely a set of hard tyres. They're going to come out right near the back of the field with such a tight spread of the rest of the drivers. Hold'em, though, I gotta say, being on hards, very good job of keeping the proximity and keeping the pace to the rest of the field. He's only a few tenths behind Cohen and has given him a solid run for his money up until this point.
Yep, absolutely, indeed. So we have started to see some pit stops, as you mentioned, as we went on to lap number 8 as well. And this is where we are going to this is where the crucial part of the race will be playing out. We've, of course, already seen some pit stops come in. And will they be able to get a bit of a gap over the drivers who are going round once again? So the strategy, always a critical part of the race. And this is where we could be seeing some little gaps between certain drivers start to form as well. It's all still going to be close. It's all still going to be exciting. But we may be seeing a few extra gaps forming and some drivers having to do a little bit of work to get back inside the 1 second during the strategy phase.
Yeah, that crucial push there. See, top 8 dropping off quite a few positions. Something clearly happened to him. Had a pretty dramatic wobble, and in fact is missing an end plate, so he must have collided with one of the walls and sustained some damage. He's on the hard strat as well, so he can't be coming into the pits to repair that front wing. He's going to unfortunately have to tank it for a little bit and just deal with the reduced downforce. Gonadorp now going to be heading in, leaving Klaffenbach leading the race on the initial medium runners set. Crozen and Cohen just behind. I do wonder how his tyre wear is getting on.
Yep, absolutely. The tyre wear is always going to be interesting for all of these drivers. And it's all about when they are choosing to attack. So the top 3 going round still on those medium compound of tyres, so taking them a little bit longer. They'll have a slightly little advantage in the final few stages on those hard compound of tyres. Cian Golendorp and Louis Welsh rejoining the road. Of course, Cian Golendorp a second now into that 1 second, or trying to get inside the 1 second. He of course needs to warm up those hard compound of tyres in that first sector, where we've got the train with 15th being Nelson Alves, then Jan Halliday, and then Ben Marples and Cian Golendorp now getting inside the 1 second. So those are the drivers who have come into pit, but as I mentioned, the top 3 continuing round, and they are all still looking to battle, as pulling to the outside line and trying to go through is going to be Joris, and he's going to get past Julian Klaffenbach.
Yeah, but I can't help it, he yielded a little bit on purpose there to allow Crozen to take him through on the DRS through this next section of the course. And I have to say, that is one of the interesting quirks and oddities about Jeddah. We have 2 DRS zones basically right next to each other. So allowing your opponent to overtake you is sometimes beneficial if you can get them ahead by the detection zone of the following sector. You can almost basically say the equivalent of know you and take your position right back if you play your cards right.
Absolutely. So it does mean that currently, as we've just seen, Crozen rejoin the road in 18th position, but it does mean the driver is always needing to be on top of the strategy as well, and the tactics coming into play on circuit as well. And we'll see more of that when we go onto the onto laps like lap 23, 24 as well, setting yourself up. Where do you want to be going on to that final lap of the race? Do you want to risk it, be the leader and dish out DRS to the rest of the drivers, or do you want to be the man on the attack in second? And then of course someone has got to be in all of the other places. They all can't be in second, so it can get very tactical and very feisty between all of these drivers in the final stages. But that's coming your way in the final stages. Still quite a lot of racing to go till we get onto that. But it's been an exciting race so far, and I'm sure it's going to continue, as Leo Lund has got a penalty and he's out of the race, and that is going to cause the safety car, which could completely change the race, with Julian Klaffenbach coming out of the 27th and final corner. The safety car's out, and he will get to pit along with everyone else in the train.
Looks like he had terminal damage and was forced to retire from the session after impacting that inside wall. Gotta say, unconventional place for drivers to jump in, and this has played perfectly into the hands of Klaffenbach and Cohen. Look at them. This could not be more perfect timing if they had tried. They started on the medium. Safety car comes at the perfect time to mitigate as much time loss as humanly possible. And now we're sitting here through the safety car now coming through, and it's going to be quite an interesting shake-up to the order, as some drivers, like Halliday, have opted to stay out and have taken the lead of the safety car train in the final moments of the pit rejoin.
Absolutely. So that is going to now be very, very interesting indeed to see how this restart is going to play out. We've got Jan Halliday, of course, on the 3-lap old hard combat ties. Julian Klaffenbach rejoining in second place as well. And then we have Nelson Alves, Ben Marples, all currently in third and fourth. But yeah, we're going to have now we're going to definitely have a very, very interesting resumption to this race. The drivers on the medium compound tires all going to be trying to attack and make their way through as well. So yeah, a very fascinating remainder of the race definitely is to come. And if we do get another safety car, once again, it could completely change the race. We previewed this to you in the little break before qualifying and the race. So this is going to be very interesting, and the safety car already starting to change this race, and we have an interesting restart coming our way when we do get underway.
Looking around at the field, a lot of drivers have gone onto the medium and used this time, so they'll be likely coming into full race pace on lap 13, which means that they will have to take those mediums 12 laps. Now, I don't doubt that it's possible, but they will certainly be struggling for pace by the time we get to the end. And the question on my mind is, are those mediums going to be enough to take that upward trajectory and the positions that they need to leverage those yellow wall tyres? Or are the hard runners just going to have dominion over the race? They have the track position, and with some good racecraft, you can hold even much faster cars at bay. I think, though, another thing is that we don't see any red walls. And I think that's just because the tyre wear with the speeds is just far too aggressive for the red walls to be even close to viable.
As well, but disappointment for Leo Lund after his crash into the barrier, meaning that he will not be scoring any points from this round, and he will be hoping to bounce back. The driver that has stood on the podium so far once this season will not be able to make it to today, unfortunately. But all of the other 19 drivers still remain in this race, still looking to battle it out all the way to the end as well. We have Brad Holden, the lead driver, on those medium compound tires. We already told you of how he took the victory in Austria, but it was taken away from him, and he ended up in 10th due to a penalty, and it was an absolutely incredible final lap for him. He'll be hoping to provide a bit more of that now in the remainder of this race, and he'll be the lead driver on those mediums trying to attack the hard runners. So let's see if he can try and return back to the top step here tonight by the end of the 25 lap race. But it'll be Halliday who will lead us away on those full lap old hard compound tyres. Klaffenbach in behind as well, and then Nelson Alves in third. But Halliday on some good form after that victory last time out. He is chasing the exact same here a week later.
I still can't get Austria out of my head. Like, what an electrifying finish. And while the stewards did decide the end race order a bit differently, to be expected, it was still an amazing thing to witness. Yeah. And watching the drivers give it 110% is, you can never replicate it. So now, looking at the field, it looks like we will be very likely see the safety car in this lap as the field is condensed. We're just waiting for that final call from race control. It's going to be a mad dash for everyone to get back into their ideal positions. There is the call from for the safety car to come back in. That is race control officially saying the word. We will be back on green flag pace on lap 13, and Jan Halliday sets the tone.
Jan Halliday looking to take us back with Klaffenbach and Nelson Alves in behind as well. Keep an eye on Brad Holdham and Tycho Hardy. Those two drivers will be looking to attack on those medium compound of tyres, as Halliday will bring us down to the 27th and final turn on the circuit, and he will decide when we are to go back green flag racing conditions. He's got the foot down with Klaffenbach in second position under a bit of pressure from Nelson Alves as we go racing once again then here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. The graphic bug there, ignore that, the safety car is in. We are racing down to turn number 1. Great restart for Jan Halliday holding the lead. No changes in behind yet, but I'm sure those drivers on those medium compound tyres will be looking to do that later on in the lap as Lukumski moves up to P18.
Yep, good moves from the rest of the field. And this is a great chance for a lot of the midfield to shake itself up and to get some positions they didn't quite think was previously possible. Like, for instance, Stevens, currently sat P10, but watching eagerly as Hardy and Crozen are in very close proximity to one another. He can wait in almost like a vulture style in order to capitalize on other people's mistakes. And that can be a great way to gain positions. Just keep yourself out of trouble. Let the cars fight around you, and then pick up the pieces when they eventually lose time, almost inevitably so.
Indeed. So that is what they are going to be aiming for as they all continue to make their way down towards the 22nd turn of the circuit. The leaders making their way now down towards the final corner. Liam Stevens looks like he is close to a move on Tycho Hardy, and he will be trying to get close as well. We're not wanting to use all of the ERS at this stage. Keep an eye on Brad Hold'em though. He is trying to go tight to the wall as he tries to find a way through on Kian Gerdendorp. He gets to that inside line, but it will become a traction race between those two drivers, which will be won by the medium compound of tyres. So up goes Brad Hold'em as he moves up to P6. DRS is now enabled as well, as it's close for the lead, but it's going to be Halliday still hanging on to P1. Further back we have Riley McKay losing a position down to P16, but everyone else still continuing, and in this train looking to go on the attack, looking to try find a way through as well. And this is where the pressure will be on for all of the drivers. If they feel like they have some pace, they're going to need to try and make some moves into the braking zone. With the DRS train, it is hard to get past in a straight line without using ERS, so a lot of battles will be coming down to the braking zone. And turn number 22, and then also we have turn number 27, a huge overtaking opportunity, and of course the first corner as well, as Tope moves up to 16 now. So Riley McKay dropping down another place, not the restart that he wanted, and he's under pressure from Lukumski, who's now been given a chance to recover his race after not the opening lap that he wanted.
Yeah, Lukumski has been given a little bit of a life raft in terms of his race efforts here tonight. Of course, had a very rough first lap, ended up backwards coming out of the first sector, I do believe, and this is going to be a great opportunity for him to recover that. You can see Klappenbach is going for the move and is going to be taking first position off of Halliday, but that is not going to last for very long if he doesn't combat Halliday's next move. We can see this is going to be immediate closing of the gap. Halliday takes it right back, almost textbook DRS chicken, and allowing with the second zone himself to get right back to status quo. And this is going to be a bit of an ebb and flow for a few laps at least, as these drivers are in such close proximity. Stacher and Salsa doing much of the same, a little bit of a side-by-side action, and Croson with Stevens are going to be seeing who can get each other to the edge and who can really take the lead out of these two. It's going to be Stevens, at least for now, because no one goes side by side through the end of the first sector. You just don't do it. It's such a complex sector. You need to focus on getting it right. It's almost Cota-like. We see our first penalty as well, with Welch getting a time penalty for multiple track limits warnings.
Indeed, so he is the first driver who has got a penalty on the board as well. As we see now the move incoming for Liam Stevens up alongside Tycho Hardy. They are banging wheels as we go down towards turn number 22. Meanwhile, while they battle, they're getting closer to Kian Gerdendorp. Liam Stevens backing out of that move, not wanting to risk contact, and they're going to look to continue dueling down to turn number 27. Klappenbach's going to get ahead of Jan Halliday. Alves will also be gaining all the while, but he is deciding to sit behind, doesn't want to throw a lunge that could affect the DRS train that he is currently in, as Mirko Siriano up alongside and ahead of Croson. He moves up to 11th position as Halliday retakes the lead in this never-ending story in the battle of first, but trying to also go through is Nelson Alves. He's side by side with Julian Klappenbach on the exit, but it's going to be Klappenbach in second, Alves in third, and it's Omni fighting behind as well as we make our way through with Siriano moving up to 11th, and then it's going to be Croson, then Felipe Sousa with Camel Stoucher trying to go to the inside of turn number 4, close to contact between the two of them, but Sousa's ahead, so is Daniel up to P14, and that's not what Camel Stoucher wanted.
Not looking good for Statura at all there. And then back at the front of the field, Alves going for that move. Not quite materializing into anything. I think he could have had it if he had just got a little bit closer coming out of the final corner and heading back into turn 1. But it's almost like saying, don't stir the pot because you can just let them do it themselves. He was watching Klappenbach and Halliday fight, strategically picking his opportunity to go for a lunge. And even if it didn't turn into a move, he minimised his resource drain because Klaffenbach and Halliday are too busy playing trades with one another to notice that Alves actually did gain quite a lot of time, particularly that last sector heading into lap 16, now soon to become 17. A VSC has come out. That is going to be Staturer and Welch. I believe, I'm not sure if they came together. But one thing we do know for sure is that Staturer is well off course and completely missing a front wing assembly. So they are going to be ending up calling out the VSC for at least the next half a lap.
Virtual safety car out, as you mentioned. So the virtual safety car, which can also ruin the race in a big way if anyone is in red with the Delta when the virtual safety car does end it. Of course, do get a warning, but sometimes the drivers can misjudge it. It can lead to a drive-through penalty, and in a race like this with such close margins, the drive-through penalty will be so costly, and it would completely ruin your race, barring a late safety car. And even with the safety car, you need to make mega progress. You need to pass everyone in the field, and you need to hope for quite a lot of craziness at the end as well. And then of course the reaction time to the virtual safety car being withdrawn is going to be crucial as well. So interesting to see how all of the drivers are going to play. They're all so close to hitting each other as well. All of the Delta right now, they're all just playing it out and trying to get the best reaction time when the virtual safety car does end, which should be very, very shortly.
Yeah, it's keep the proximity, keep the Delta positive, and don't go for any overtakes. There we go, we're back to green flag, and immediately, that's going to be Halliday and Klaffenbach, almost as if nothing changes. They resume the battle, resume that close proximity pretty much straight away. Now, they've got to be careful with that third sector, though, because the warnings are going to be rife across this field. We've already got multiple drivers who are on 2 warnings. For instance, we have currently Bradley Holdham sat on 2 warnings. Riley Mackey on 2 warnings. 3, nearly 4 wide coming through the final corner. That was a little bit of spiciness swinging in at the last second. And now we've got a massive traction race coming in between P3 through to P8. As there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing. That's going to be Tycho Hardy going for a send. Marples up into 3rd, taking over Alves, although he's not going to take that one lying down. Side by side, 2x2 Noah's Ark coming in full force in this F1 grid, as they are going to be dashing to get those positions ahead of that Sector 1. Crunch, Holdham down into P8, Stevenson 9th, Hardy into 7th, as Gonendorp is going to be promoting himself up into P4, easily the biggest winner out of the skirmish through into lap 18 now. And Alves is currently sat P3 once again with Marples down in 5th. Cohen is going to continue to attack side by side with Tycho Hardy. And the drag racing just does not stop here. These two are locked in a full-on speed war.
Absolutely wild scenes. We were 4 wide at a point right before we got on the brakes. For turn number 27, has something happened to Felipe Sousa? It seems like he has spun. He's gone off the road, but he'll be able to continue build a Brazilian driver while we continue brawling behind as well. And that is going to be very close to 3 wide, with Lukumski moving up to 12, and he's definitely using the gift off the safety car that he got. He's up into 12th, and Suriano in P13, and it's going to be, once again, we're going to be looking for the battle. Stevens pulling alongside Harvey Cohen as well. Cohen looking to defend. That's close to contact between the two of them as we go down towards turn number 27, but it's going to be Cohen who hangs on to it. Gregory, meanwhile, having a traction race out of the corner, but winning that one against Frozen, as well, as we are going super tight down towards turn 1, trying to go the long way around. It's going to be Gregory. Will he be able to get on the brakes? It's going to be super tight into the first corner. He's trying to turn the outside line to the inside. Will he be able to get ahead of Liam Stevens? And it's going to be Stevens just ahead of Cohen. Gregory ahead off the pair though, and they're battling in behind as well, as the battling continues here at the Jeddah Corniche circuit. We don't know where to look at this stage.
Tipper with an absolutely excellent double overtake. You saw Stevens and Cohen skirmishing and going right to the inside of the corner trying to defend. So Cohen and Stevens out of the picture. Zibble took the chance and took a much better line through those first few corners, easily netting him those 2 positions, and very well played by the Veloce Academy driver. Looking at the top of the field though, things seem to have mostly stabilised with Halliday about 0.3 of a second behind Klaffenbach, but he's going to be biding his time, waiting for an ideal opportunity to strike, as Klaffenbach would do if the positions were reversed. So he's trying to play this strategically, maximise his resource generation so he can dump everything into those crucial final few laps.
Once again, down the straight, who is going to be dishing out the overtakes this time around? And it's going to be Lukumski, who is very close to another move, this time past Brad Hold'em. It's going to be a battle, though, between second and third. Make that a battle for the lead, as it's going to be Halliday up against Nelson Alves as they make their way through turn number 27. And it is going to be Julian Klavenbach in the mix as well, using a little bit of ERS. DRS will belong to Jan Halliday, who is going to fly through. Nelson Alves is going to be a sitting duck. Klavenbach boxed in momentarily. Now a bit of a gap has opened up for him to the inside, which he's not going to risk or take at this stage. Further back, the battling does continue, and that is going to be Daniel going along around ahead of Lukumski. Brad Hold'em given a 3-second time penalty as well, and it's going to be Daniel up into P12 with Lukumski, with Brad Hold'em to the side, who found himself moving up momentarily. Now he's all 4 wheels off the road as he has a duel with Lukumski. They run side by side, corner after corner in this first sector. That is going to be super tight between the two of them, and Lukumski's ahead as Tope's given a 3-second penalty as well.
Yeah, a couple more penalties coming out of the woodwork and dealing a bad hand to some of our drivers, so they are going to have to work doubly hard in order to compensate for that time penalty being slapped on top of them. Hold'em losing another position, although not without a fight, as Mackay is going to be coming side by side, and Mackay himself is only 1 warning away from getting a penalty, so this could very quickly become a bit more impactful of a fight. But Mackay, regardless, is going to continue that pressure. It's going to be Tope also capitalizing on what seems to be a loss of speed severely for Hold'em, and it's a double overtake done for the back of the field fight. And the front of the field looks to be emulating very similar, as Klavenbach is very quickly closing in. In fact, making contact with the diffuser, and that's big contact between what looks like Marples and Hardy. Goes straight into the back.
They all slowed up massively. Klavenbach not wanting to take the lead, Alves not wanting to take second place, and it meant that it was that they were all getting on the brakes at the same time at a very slow speed, and it meant there was contact as some drivers could not react. So a bit of debris off there as well, as we continue to see all of the drivers switch around, especially in the background as well. It seems like there's some incredible fighting going on there. The leaders also thinking about the final lap that will be coming their way in the midfield. They're trying to get themselves as high up as possible, while also trying to make sure they have enough ERS for that final stage of the race as well. That's going to be Liam Stevens trying to get through to the inside of Gregory, who is hit. Tycho Hardy sideways momentarily with a half spin there. Gregory able to get through, and Liam Stevens trying to pull alongside, trying to find a way by as well. It's getting aggressive in the middle of the field as we see Soriano trying to get past Harvey Cohen, but he was never going to go all the way around the outside without contact. And now alongside is Liam Stevens, who's going to try to get past Tycho Hardy. He's also going to watch the battle as Ben Marples is passed by Gregory, who moves up to 5th position, and these guys have all now got a 1.5 seconds gap ahead, so it's the top 4 running away with this one due to the insane battling behind. And Liam Stevens once again finding himself this time up alongside Ben Marples. He's going to be able to get through further back. Tycho Hardy's also looking for it as well, very nearly 4 wide as we go down towards start number 27. That will be close for Liam Stevens as he's going to exit ahead of them all, but it's going to be once again a traction race with Crozen pulling alongside. Crozen's going to take the position as we come over the line. Cars scattered all over the road. Are they all going to be able to make their way through as we head down to turn number 1? It's going to be Crozen ahead, then it's going to be Cohen, then Siriano, Ben Marples up alongside Marco Siriano, but it's Siriano who's got P8, and then it'll be Marples, Liam Stevens, Tycho Hardy, Daniel in P12. Some insane battling here at Jeddah, and it continues with Hardy running a little bit wide to turn number 4, and Daniel trying to take P11.
Hardy dropping big time in terms of positions and pace. It looks like he's sustained major damage to his front wing. Ben Marples being in a very similar situation owing to that collision into the final corner just about a lap prior. Not a fun time for either driver, as they're now just trying to nurse the cars home, damage control, whatever they can get to the end of the race. And it's heartbreaking, honestly, seeing them like that, and whether it was, let's say, partially caused by them or what. Seeing a car damaged, being unable to pit in to get it repaired, and just dropping position after position. It's always tough to watch because you know that driver is going to be absolutely furious. They're going to be practically pounding that steering wheel, wishing they could keep up, but they just can't do it. It's a big shame. We see the fight to the top continue to rage on. Godendorp up into third and making it up into second as well. That's a double as it goes 3 wide. Heading in to lap 23 now. It's a mad dash as Klaffenbach is currently sitting there DRS-less. Absolutely no compromise from the rest of the field. But interestingly, there's no fight and no rush to get into first position. Instead, Halliday is going to hang back and is going to opt to retain the fight against Godendorp to try and push them away from P2.
Yeah, while they battle for the lead, they continue to battle for P5 as well, as Crozon has currently got it ahead of Gregory. But Julian Klaffenbach, as you mentioned, currently holding P1. They're all battling for second, third and fourth, because I'm sure they want to position themselves in that second position for that final lap. And no one really interested in that lead right now. With 2 DRS zones and a run to the line, it is going to be hard to keep behind the drivers in second, third and fourth. So it does mean that being first is definitely a very, very risky option, as it's going to be hard to get away, as Liam Stevens pulling alongside Harvey Curran, who is going to lose another place down to P9. He is going to go as well, and let's see whether we're going to get the crazy battling once again for second place this time around. Is Lukumski also moving up to P10 as well. So Lukumski finding a way through once again, tucking in the Slipstream is Kian Godendorp, but not electing to go for the move, or is he going to go for it into the braking zone? Halliday not wanting to make the move on Klaffenbach. Godendorp is going to get the opportunity, and he's going to get past Jan Halliday as well. Nelson Alves will have an opportunity down towards turn number 1, but it's Godendorp moving up to second, and once again, they are not wanting to take the lead, but they are still battling for that second position. Julian Klaffenbach in P1, but who is going to exit the corner in second place? This is the penultimate lap of the race. This is where it's going to get feisty between these two drivers. It's Halliday who's got it, but what they cannot afford to do is battle like crazy for second, because then they'll lose the 1 second to Klaffenbach, and he'll be able to get away if they do battle and lose that 1 second.
Bit of a snap coming from Klaffenbach as well. Could have spelled trouble, but luckily he caught it at a good time and was able to power out of turn 2. So minimal time being lost there. Looks like we have Louis Welch retiring from the session, and it looks like it is an on-track issue, an on-track incident. But because we are on that penultimate lap, we're just going to try and get on board with Tycho Hardy to see the perspective. And oh, there's right on the middle of the track. He must have impacted the inside of the corner, and that could have almost been big trouble. Luckily, the virtual stewards are being literal wizards, allowing them to get the car off track fast and in time to continue the racing, because no safety cars will come out in the last 2 laps. And this is one of those tracks where I'd actually say it's not exclusively beneficial to be in second place on the final lap, because those 2 DRS zones at the end can produce some real last-minute curveballs.
Indeed, and we're getting some more battles now as Klaffenbach has got Kian Godendorp to the inside. Kian Godendorp moving up into the lead, and all of this battling has also invited Crozon into the scrap, and we are going to go 3 wide as we come over the line to begin the final lap. There will be mega speed here for Jan Halliday, but he's going to get boxed in. He's going to get boxed in. He's not going to have anywhere to go. It's going to be Julian Klaffenbach battling with Nelson Alves, who is going to move up into the lead. Nelson Alves leads the race now with Klaffenbach in second. Godendorp going wheel to wheel with Halliday, but it's Kian Godendorp into P3. Camel Stafford with a 3-second time penalty, but Crozon and also Gregory along with Liam Stevens and Marcus Soriano all are in this mix. 8-car train as we do battle on this final lap, and it's going to be a crucial couple of corners. Klaffenbach staying on the back of Nelson Alves. It is all going to come down towards turn number 27 as Gregory goes off the road slightly in the background, but this is going to be one amazing final lap.
Going to be absolutely electrifying, because we have so many drivers looking to get so many different positions out of this. Now, Halliday was in such a prime position, but he's now been delegated to P4, and that's a lot of cars that you need to overtake, especially as time is quickly waning. We're already coming up to the end of Sector 2, coming into Sector 3, so his winning hopes might have been dashed here. Godendorp himself in third is going to keep an eager eye on Klaffenbach and Alves. They could push each other out of road, and that could be a crucial window being opened up for him. But let's see now. Klaffenbach on the back of Alves. It's going to be a dash into the final corner. A little bit of contact between the two. The tyres bump. The adrenaline running high. Klaffenbach leads into the final corner, final DRS zone. Both of them having a little bit of slip angle coming in. And is there going to be any positional change? No. Great slingshot from Klaffenbach. He's going to take it. That is going to be a win. And Julian Klaffenbach wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix here in PCF2, with Alves taking second, Godendorp in third, and Crozon with Halliday taking fourth and 5th. You can see the rest of the field forming now in real time, as there is going to be much more to discuss with the penalties coming through and maybe stewarding in the future. But here is your standings stacking up something fierce.
Absolutely wild race. We didn't expect anything else from the Jeddah Corny circuit, and it was Julian Klavenbach using the DRS, able to get ahead of Nelson Els. Close between himself and Kian Godens up to the line in the battle for second place. Close also between Jan Halliday, our winner from last time out in Japan, and Gregory as well, who also stood on the podium in that race. But the podium in this race is Klavenbach, Nelson Els, and Kian Godendorp, and we just couldn't predict at all who was going to be on that podium. It was absolutely wild stuff to the end. Some fantastic action. PSGL PCF2 at its absolute finest.
And there you go, Seek Statura coming up to the line now for the final run here. And that is where we take a bow and we take a wrap to the race here tonight. Klavenbach fighting to the bitter end, proving himself through and through as one of the talents to watch on this grid. Hjeltsen making a substantial jump up and getting a driver of the day. But of course, let us know in the chat who is going to be your personal driver of the day as we come up to the podium. You can see him celebrate. And here is your final standings. Of course, Klavenbach taking the win, 40 minutes and 5 seconds in a war of attrition for some. But for others, it was nothing but speed, nothing but class, with Albus taking second, and under a 10th away is Godendorp in third to complete the podium. Crozen takes fourth, with Halliday in fifth after a very strong race, unfortunately dropping severely in the final seconds. Sixth goes to Gregory Zibble with a substantial promotion, with Mirko Soriano starting in 15th, making his way all the way up into 7th. After a quite interesting race, and particularly around the safety car period, there was a lot of time to be gained. Lekomsky, of course, recovering brilliantly from that early collision, or the early spin out at the very least, coming from literally the back of the grid into eventually P8. Very impressive stuff as Make and Hjeltsen round out your top 10. Then you have Marples, who unfortunately got struck with some damage and had to limp home in P11. Cohen, top 8. Tycho Hardy, much the similar same situation to Ben, making it to 14th. Unfortunately, not his day today, with Salsa, Statura, Stevens, and Hold'em rounding out, with Welch down in 19th and Leo Lund, unfortunately, crashing out, as well as Welch making a brutal impact on the inside of Sector 1 to make 2 DNFs. And a lot to talk about indeed. Well, we are going to see if we get a chance to talk to any of them, of course. But as a reminder of the kind of standings that we are here looking at, a interesting point split, which is certainly going to get even more interesting to talk about as we come across that halfway point of the season. Klavenbach is going to be, I'm sure, very pleased with themselves after they are going to be taking away a healthy dose of points. Tycho Hardy, say, not having the race to remember, so we'll see a little bit of a drop. But Halliday still coming in P5, solid, respectable points haul, and will likely retain their position, though not to be outdone. Some other drivers are going to see some big jumps, like Godendorp, for instance. They're definitely going to be seeing some jumps in that standings, and there's many other stories to follow. But we are going to give it a minute, and while we wait our drivers to maybe take a bit of a cool down, Omi, what were your thoughts on that race?
Absolutely incredible. Phenomenal race at Jeddah. We expected nothing less. We expected all the chaos. We expected a little bit of contact here and there, especially when the stakes are so high for these drivers. All of them trying to prove themselves and also take as much as points as they can to help themselves for the championship. And it was an incredible race from start to finish. Exactly what we expected. Exactly what we got in the end. But yeah, a phenomenal final lap, and track position going on to that last lap was definitely very, very critical. An enjoyable race, but every race is enjoyable here in this PSGL season. Every race does deliver, no matter what the circuit is, and I'm looking forward to the next few coming up as well as the championship battle heats up.
Yeah, well, let's say a lot of drivers certainly cooked here tonight. As I was seeing some support for Alvis, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I just want to say, do feel free to correct me if I'm pronouncing any driver's name wrong at any point. Try to pick up pronunciations as we go, but sometimes we can get it a little bit off piste, and we'd rather be corrected than take it wrong all the way through the season. I'm not sure if we are going to get any of our drivers coming in to the commentary box tonight. It doesn't at least look like it, but we do still have plenty of stories unfolding in the season, and we are latter half of the calendar, folks, because after tonight's round it's going to be Mexico next time out, followed by, of course, Belgium, Monza, Qatar, and then Brazil to round off the season, and to be rounding off probably one of the most exciting seasons I've seen, and certainly in terms of moment-to-moment racing and having defined highlights. I think this has been certainly one of the best seasons, at least so far, today.
Yep, it has been absolutely incredible to be a part of it with you, Sabby. Great to, of course, have you back as well in the commentary box as well. But yeah, Mexico is going to definitely be very, very interesting. You have the long run down towards turn one. Let's hope no one ends up like Sergio Perez. And instead, if anyone is going to try and do some heroics down to that first corner, they can end up like Verstappen from 2021. So interesting race always coming up at Mexico. You have one detection point for 2 DRS zones, meaning lots of switching and changing all the way through. And a driver who is first could end up in third or fourth by the time they exit turn number 4. So switching coming around Mexico, and then Belgium, Monza, Qatar, Brazil. Some phenomenal races to end this season and crown who is going to be the champion.
Well, for tonight at least, folks, this is where we take our leave. Of course, thank you to everyone who has watched tonight's stream. Be sure to check out some of the other events we do, as well as the other tiers. Join in on the Discord if you love what we do. And be sure to support the people who support us as well. We got GT Omega, we got Sim Racing Centre, and of course, say all the brilliant staff team who make this possible. Omi, yourself, a brilliant commentator, and it is good to be back in the box. So support the people who support us. Use code PSGL for a healthy discount as well. Check out if you do grab anything from our 2 primary sponsors. I was pointing to the chair, not the traffic cone in the background. And with that being said, folks, we will see you again very soon for the next race out in Mexico. Take care and goodbye.